Hey there, it's William with Sage Cardano Staking. My last video, Risk Rewards, was really my first YouTube video that a lot of you liked, commented on. Very, very kind comments, so thank you. Very much appreciated. So today I wanted to chat with you about a couple different things in terms of market cycles within crypto, coming from stock market trading new into crypto over the last little over a year. This cycle is very important to keep in mind. Specifically on Monday, if you're trading in Kraken, you saw Cardano drop from our dollar range all the way down to a low of about 15 cents. And this is on a 2-hour candle. Dropped down really quick, was bought back. When you were trading on Binance, you notice that they didn't have the same liquidity issue, mass sell-off. So just something to take a note on in terms of how you're trading. The big point here is when you're new to crypto, there are going to be major swings. Let's get to Safari here. So one of the things that you'll notice is, so Bitcoin back in 2012 went hyperbolic and then had a sell-off. 2015 through 18, another growth period, had a sell-off through to March of March of 2020 is this one, but slightly prior to that, so 2019, and we're in the next parabolic phase of Bitcoin, which is forecasted somewhere over 100,000. Plan B has this stock to flow diagram in terms of how he's plotting where Bitcoin will travel to. And so the next zone that we're working for is that 100,000 to 240,000 or 288,000. So with time we will be hitting that probably sometime before the end of the year, surprisingly or not. The main thing there is, as we're looking at Bitcoin, you're starting to see the sell-off, and it caught a lot of news, and the news was all talking about how many percent down or fall, 18% down in a day. The real interesting thing is, in the stock market, huge news. Crypto market seems to happen fairly frequently, right? So if you're looking at the last run, so 2016, as it did that parabolic move, we have large sections of multiple percent, so 30-20% sell-offs. And so when we come back to Bitcoin, right here, 58,000, spiking down to about 44,000 and this is within the last 2 days. When you're looking at Cardano, it's very important to follow where Bitcoin is from a total market cap standpoint. They are the dominant player, the first mover, the first actor, the store of value, kind of the gold play, if you will. And so you can take a look at just the plain Cardano chart, which has been fantastic. We're doing great holding in this dollar zone despite this big Bitcoin sell-off. The more interesting fact is, as we are comparing ADA to Bitcoin, so if you were to take ADA and put it in the price of Bitcoin, and just a quick refresher for those new, one Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshi. So if you were to take ADA and divide it by Bitcoin, so right now one ADA, the Bitcoin price is 50,000, so the Satoshi is 2,000 Satoshi. That's important because if Cardano goes to, say, $5 or $4, Bitcoin stays the same, we are progressing against Bitcoin, a more favorable pricing dynamic. And if you look at this chart, so since, let's pull this to the beginning of 2021, relative to Bitcoin at 74% gain, ADA has climbed almost tenfold of that. So when you're looking at ADA to BTC, as you look at this chart, when we go back to the beginning of 2021, we are trading, 700 Satoshi, and now sitting at about 2100 Satoshi. So ADA is gaining value relative to Bitcoin. As Bitcoin sells off, ADA tends to follow a little bit. There's currently a huge discussion about future value adds for Cardano. I'm totally bullish, very strongly on Cardano, but a lot of people had asked me, is it too late to get in, that type of thing. And so I'm going to just share my logic as I'm watching the price action and how I choose to enter within Cardano. Using the EMA, so the 144, the 55, and the 89 exponential moving averages. So I have all those plotted. And on a 2-hour, you'll see that you get little sections where we have a really strong steep sell-off, and you might be able to grab in low. And the Kraken, a couple people I heard were in this 55 cents or maybe even a little bit lower, getting fills that most people, when it's trading $1, wouldn't have expected they'd ever have a 50-cent fill on an order. So within crypto, being volatile, what I'll tend to do is just follow the price action and then set targets. So if I'm looking to buy, another 100 or 1,000 ADA at some point, I will set targets usually around this 144 EMA. And every now and then you'll get lucky. You'll pick it up as it crosses that exponential moving average. And I'm on a 2-hour chart, typically follow that, but you can look at the day or so forth, day charts to change the time average. That is a great way to scalp ADA. And the whole goal there, go over to this numbers. I went over this with the risk reward balance. This is just a slightly different way to look at it, very similar topic. When you have 10,000 ADA, depending upon when you enter, if it's 10 cents, 30 cents, 65 cents of that last video, 90 cents of last week, and the high of 115, you get staking rewards if you don't just leave the ADA on an exchange. So pull it off an exchange, move it into a Yoroi or Daedalus wallet. Once it's there, you can stake or delegate your tokens to a stake pool. I run Sage Cardano Staking. Choose me or one of the 1,700 others. Ultimately, you just want to be staked. There's no risk to you. Your funds stay in your wallet, so they won't be hacked unless your own personal computer or wallet 24-word seeds are compromised. But outside of that, once you stake your ADA, most pools are right in that 5%. And so within 1 year on 100,000 ADA, you're at 500 ADA, which is equal to, if it's, let's trade this here. So if we're trading at $31 all-time high, over the course of a year, you'll notice that all these portfolios will be positive over time. If we start to drop, so if we come down to the dollar where it is right now, you'll notice on a short-term time frame, you might be net negative relative to your initial capital provided. As you move further down to 80 cents, you start to see some other entries of 90 cents or $1.15 start to move negative depending upon your investment horizon. And so your goal obviously is to buy low, sell high. Everyone knows that. But the trick with this is the longer your duration with 5% staking rewards, the more likely your risk to reward is going to turn out in terms of some favorable outcome. And so even if we fall backwards below the 90 cents that someone may have purchased at, you are on a 3-year time frame net positive. Loss of time value of money, other potential projects you could have invested in. But when you're in a buy and hold with rewards and staking, this balance works out very nicely. And so when you're looking at our current price, $1, and you see areas where it's spiked down, remember to just check the moving averages over time. Look to put a scalping order, set it, forget it for a day, come back, modify if we've run up, modify to the new EMA, and see if you can catch those spikes down. The next thing to just chat about, we went over the comparisons. So ADA can gain relative to Bitcoin. ADA can gain relative to Ethereum. And so Ethereum roughly at $2,000 right now, ADA being at $1. The 5,000 mark, that's something to pay attention to. Currently it's actually 6,000, so Ethereum had sold off more than the 2,000. I put in the numbers there. But ultimately, as ADA catches on the pair of Ethereum, so ADA priced in Ethereum, you would expect Ethereum to sell off as Cardano starts to do things smarter, faster, less expensive than Ethereum, plus add all these other utilities of governance, of voting, right? Those value adds that Cardano has, Ethereum cannot compete with. And so the Ethereum current market cap, let's go right over there real quick. So coin market cap, when you're looking at Ethereum, their market cap is almost 200 billion. And so you start looking at Cardano at 32 billion and seeing a potential run to catch Ethereum. And so pricing Cardano at Ethereum's market cap, your future value is going to be in that 650 zone. And so that's not something that will happen likely within 2021, but it could. When you're talking about large numbers like this, there's no way not to be ahead with staking rewards plus that type of massive adoption appreciation. There are a ton of announcements likely coming out within this next month. Coinbase listing, Africa deal, and then in June, the Goguen release for smart contracts. That's a direct Ethereum competitor. So you just plan along those lines. I'm saying all this relative to the price action. We get these 30% dips. I know Monday, Tuesday, woke up, opened up the phone, checked the price of Cardano. I'm like, whoa, what's happening? The emotional reaction of a trader. You get excited as it's going up. You get panicked on the way down. You don't want to sell during that sell-off. Your main thought is, if I'm buying, holding, and staking for the long term, I'll be safe. At that point in time, if you're overextended, you want to wait until the next rise, sell off a few of your position, and then as the stock has those spikes down, just on the short term, you can add to your position at slightly lower levels than what the average is through that course of time. The next thing that I found pretty interesting this week was this idea right here for Bitcoin. So in a Bitcoin economy, you borrow the house using Bitcoin as collateral. So if you're buying a house, you just take a loan against your Bitcoin and pay for the house. In a fiat economy, you borrow the fiat using the house as collateral. So I'm basically telling the bank, hey, I have a $500,000 house or whatever. I would like a loan on that. And so you borrow the fiat to pay for the house. And so this is a really mind-shifting comment here. The rich get rich by holding assets and never selling them. If needed, access locked up capital through debt or using as collateral. is a very interesting thought process. They're about to move from Ethereum to Cardano. They'll probably support both platforms, but obviously transaction fees, everything's going to be easier for Celsius on top of Cardano. And so this is a quick way that you can either earn interest on top of your tokens, or you can use it to take a loan to pay for your house. And so buy, stake, and hold. You may even be able to stake plus lend your crypto. That's to be determined on that side. It sounds like they may be trying to go in that direction. But when you're dealing with this Bitcoin economy, as people, so at the beginning of 2020, Venezuela, their currency crashed, and as people in that economy wanted to preserve their finances, they flooded into Dash, other cryptocurrencies, but Dash was one of the biggest movers as a result of that. So not only is your fiat money becoming worth less, Dash became worth more, so your buying power decreased. So one of the things that we are facing right now is a corporate purchase of Bitcoin. Square just came out and acquired 170 million Bitcoin in addition to, I believe it was 40 that they already had. Tesla bought the 1.5 billion Bitcoin. We will have institutional adoption, which will likely drive this stock to flow a little bit faster than maybe currently predicted. And as Bitcoin rises, all the tide will rise all ships, right? So Cardano will go up. Cardano will likely advance a little bit faster as we currently have relative to Bitcoin. And so you may be able to lend, you may be able to just stake. You have a lot of value add to an initial investment in likely the new global operating system. If the US is wanting to print 6 trillion last year, another 1.9 trillion this year, 25% of the money supply has basically just appeared recently. You can't keep printing money and not have hyperinflation. Cryptocurrency at some levels, from either utility level or maybe a Bitcoin level of store of asset, will be very favorable and is inevitable at this point in time. I think there is going to be a massive push between now and June for many locations like Miami to start accepting Bitcoin, paying employees in Bitcoin, everything along those lines. Wyoming has laws that Nebraska sounds like they're about to adopt for how to handle securitization or the funds store Bitcoin from that perspective. So the whole play here, it's highly favorable. And if you're new, Grayscale is a good example. This trust fund, they can never sell their Bitcoin. And the more people that start buying, the more funds they have access to buy more Bitcoin. And so if you're in the stock market, this is one way to have access to that if you haven't gotten on the exchanges yet to buy ADA or buy Bitcoin. But the accessible money that is available, accessible coins, I should say, for Bitcoin, limited supply. You have a total of 21 million ever going to be available. The current circulation is a little over 18.5 million. Cardano's in the same boat. Limited supply of 31 billion, going up to 45 billion over the next 10 plus years. Now, when you figure the world has roughly 9 billion people, that works out to be, about 5 ADA per person if everyone equally distributed. So it's just one of those for, betting on the future that makes sense to me. And um, the longer I'm seeing or hearing things along those lines, the more um, I very much believe and follow along. Let's see. Um, there's a podcast. Um, let's see. Here we go. This one. So if you're not familiar with this podcast right here, it came out on the 16th, so last week. This is from Michael Saylor. He is a graduate from MIT, so has an engineering background, and as a physician, similar scientific thought process background. He uses some very good analogies on how to think of money, how to think of how to transfer money, the utilization of it, how you can store money, how CEOs look at their balance sheet in terms of being able to keep their company stable for the next 20, 30 years. And then basically shifts the idea to how Bitcoin helps along those lines. And he's the CEO of a company called MicroStrategies that last week closed a $1 billion capital raise for the sole purpose of buying more Bitcoin. They had already bought 400 million back in August, and I think another 700 million is in that December timeframe. So he's all in. He was the person that has likely helped Elon Musk realize that is the direction. So hopefully this was helpful. Biggest goal was to try and answer some of the questions for people that asked questions, emailed me questions. If you go to our website, Sage Cardano Staking, contact form there. I'm on Twitter at Sage Cardano Staking. Would be more than happy to help just chat about how I think about things or how to do X, Y, Z. Can't give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. However, just want to share my thought process and how I look at things and see if that helps jive with you. So if you've made it this far, a like, subscribe, share this video would be hugely appreciated. Otherwise, be safe, be smart, don't overreact with the changes within the marketplace.